from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. Federal government rules out after militant threats. Details of these news tonight. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved 24 billion naira for project. The executive vice chairman of the agency, Professor Muhammad Aruna, was in the villa to brief President Buhari on the activities of the agency and anti-ballistic missiles and bulletproof vests. And experts had in 2021 approved that 1% engineering innovations. Cultural Machinery and Equipment Development Institute in Lafia, the Nasarawa State, stated this during the groundbreaking ceremony of the institute. Harun Muhammad Buhari to revolutionize farming and food process and machines in the food value chain from cultivation. On a sad note, President Muhammad Buhari has joined the family, friend, special advisor and media and publicity Femi Adesina. President Buhari recalled that Balogun, during his tenure as IGP, had a penchant to the president. His thoughts and prayers are with the family. In a separate, Sadaki Abba and the state chief of protocol, the president's congratulatory message was released in the awardees when they brought him the certificates and medals of honor and their people. President Buhari also extended felicitations to Governor Badaru Abubakar Rabiu, who were also conferred with the honors the independent research and development proposals for response to the government's call for submission of proposals through the National AIDS grants to Nigerian researchers. The executive to make the final selection. He said the call for proposals from the agricultural sector, 22 from mining, 1. Now in education, federal government has promised to make this known while speaking at the Safe School Summit and stakeholders to identify the most transparent, effective plan for the security and safety of schools across the country. Had established a committee with members drawn from the relevant security agencies for this purpose. Now, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, declined. He alleged that the federal government had explored all avenues to honor dialogue with the key stakeholders, holding the perm has raised an alarm over a smear campaign against its management was sponsored by those against the board's reforms, which had blocked decision to circulate the allegations, have debunked and dissociated the group from a report calling for the West Zone D of the association Tegbe Finyin-Foluti of the CBN governor. Finyin-Folua said setting the record straight was also a space in recent times. According to him, the said association of the association. In another development of foreign involvement in economic and financial sabotage activities, the service's headquarters in Abuja. Remarks, Idris assured that the service would liaise with relevant agencies, logical infrastructure that detects wanted or suspicious persons. Immigration service through regular interfaces. Electoral Commission INEC says extending the voter resident electoral commissioner Mike Igini, who spoke during distribute the permanent voter cards to the new registrar process, likening it to what happened in the country in the lead-up to the election. Despite the outcry that greeted the suspended, emerged the governorship candidate of the Young Progressives Nation. A release signed by the YPP State Publicity Secretary Akanema, Electoral Commission INEC, had emerged after all delegates from each local government act, which stipulates that when a candidate voluntarily withdraws from an election, it's very peaceful. The National Secretary of YPP, Barrister VD candidates, including a certificate of return. In his acceptance speech as the YPP gubernatorial candidate, he pledged the event was witnessed by the national officers of YPP and associates from across party lines. In
leadership of the State Working Committee, I officially receive all YPP.
Internal meetings that after a case district, it will, and this is based on the fact that produces a governor. the only federal constitution of God. I will fight the cause of my people. And I'm also running on the standpoint of justice. That I will fight your cause. And I will ask that you have a senator who represented, you have a senator who took.
Still to come, please. Do stay with us. On to Africa, where 50 years after Uganda will never be made again. Okello told reporters that Uganda had expressed or any minority group in the country. It could be recalled settled in Leicester. Okello said at the time, Indians were the major merchants complained of lack of adequate compensation by them. The regional government are courageously enduring conditions in the country, but Ivory Coast said they were unjustly arrested as Ivorian embassy staff in Mali have met tension since July 10. Togo has offered to mediate, yield any progress. According to diplomatic sources, Mali is a framework and prior notification or consultation exiled in Ivory Coast and wanted in Mali. Conditions the first time since the country's independence in 1960 rely on other forces in parliament to pass led government on Sal and curb any ambitions he may have for ethics. The Interior Ministry said the participation rate was 47%, as said to be declared by the Constitutional Council. The competing coalition, Kenyan political leader and one-time Prime Minister Raila Odinga's top political dynasties. Reports say as he vies again for the top job in the August 9 election to shake hands and draw a line on the decades of vitriol in March 28, leaving Kenya without an opposition. From a Palestinian militant group there, Gaza's health ministry said it follows days of tensions after Israel arrested Jihad had threatened to hit back by bombing central Israel. The agenda, adding that anyone who tried to harm Israel sailed the province seen 3 more ships loaded with grain. Turkey's defense ministry said the Panama flagged of the ministry noted that 2 ships had left the port of Chonamot, sailed towards Turkey with 12,000 tons of grain. It added that meanwhile, Ukraine's southern frontline city of Mykolaiv collaborating with Russia. A governor of the close to Russian-occupied parts of the strategically important region of Kherson till 5 a.m. on Monday did not mean the city was on Ukraine. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said. Lavrov insisted that the discussion had to be within the frame. Russian court had sentenced U.S. basketball star a prisoner swap that would include the 31-year-old athlete. Fumio Kishida has condemned China's firing of ballistic missiles during of its citizens. Kishida was addressing reporters in the country's exclusive economic zone for its impact on the peace and stability of the region. Stop in Taiwan, infuriating Beijing, which has launched had defied stern threats from China to become would not abandon a democratic ally and her immediate family over her visit to China's sovereignty and territorial integrity, trampled on the UN as a breakaway province that must be unified with the mainland. Xi Fang has summoned the diplomatic envoys of the group's member nations and the EU. Pelosi's visit to Taiwan as a blatant political maneuver would certainly not hesitate to make a firm response, falsely alleging that there was no change in the tensions across the Taiwan Strait and using Taiwan to alleged mistakes. Stop using erroneous words and actions. Government was today rocked by a long simmering surveillance scandal of an hour. Mr. Takis's office said the announcement that Cantolian had resigned from his Grigoris Dimitriadis also quit. Takis filed a complaint with the Supreme Court over taken legal action this year after they claimed to have been victims. The legal team is in direct communication with the Justice Department of 2021 accelerates. The Trump team's January 6 prosecutor Thomas Windham, with the talks revolving. Reports say at this stage the conversations are kept from a federal criminal grand jury under Trump's claim of executive privilege. The issue has risen as grand jury's chief counsel and chief of staff.
Thank you, Xavier. Again with U.S. employment. As job growth surges, employment rate drops, defying fears that the labor market is heading for bars and other firms continue to add workers. According to data from the labor market, the U.S. Central Bank is raising interest rates to control surging prices. US have said they hope the U.S. labor market will remain strong enough to allow the Federal Reserve Economic Index. As India hikes interest rate to 5.4% during its August meeting. This was the third decision which has stayed up this year. The decision followed as the central bank maintained its inflation forecast for the fiscal inflation eased slightly to 7.01% in June of 2 to 6% for the 2018. The Food and Agriculture Organization in July 2022. The steepest fall since change in international prices of a vast decrease in wheat cost as harvests increase. Also, the vegetable oil price index 2% lower, cost of sugar went down 3.8%, the third consecutive percent, with quotation for skim milk powder declining the most. This in Europe due to the summer holidays. The meat index went unto the foreign exchange. Nigerians who decided to buy dollars at 680 naira to 710 naira to Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) to raid several the black market. Naira exchange at 640 naira per exchange. Demand for goods and services remains constant. It showed that the Nigerian currency strengthened on Thursday market. The naira rose to 606 the capital market, and the bulls are back to close at 50,720. A total of 148.81 million shares were traded. When compared with yesterday, percent improvement in deals. The current market cap one listed equities participated in trading ending with 7 naira 15 kobo per share. 50 kobo per share. Honeywell's flour mill. Back to Xavier Robert for the rest of the news.
And Oborodudu win wrestling gold at Commonwealth. United States government has declared the monkeypox outbreak a public health emergency, treatments and federal resources to curb the spread of the virus, following a worldwide surge of the cases.
That's what we're going to make sure that we do that. So, as you all know, the last couple times, because monkeypox has been here in this country before, a bit of that context because it's spreading at different phases here.
Now in sports, wrestler Odunayo Adekoranshu Malik, 6'4", in the 57 kilogram had won her earlier 2 rounds within a minute, en route to the final. Also, wrestler Blessing Oborudu rise in the 68 kilogram women's category final. August 20, to fans living in war-torn Ukraine, rights to Usyk's home country as a gesture of goodwill. 24. In another development, Polish presented as Barcelona's new number 9 following his £50 million transfer from Memphis Depay, who has been linked with a Camp Nou suggestion that his best years were behind him at his first press conference at Barca's Stadium, even though he did not hit defender Marco Corella from £3 million. The 24-year-old should now become Chelsea's latest pre-season signing, with Kalidou Koulibaly. Elsewhere, Mbappe will miss Paris Saint-Germain's first that Mbappe had been left out of the squad that would travel treatment. Mbappe already missed PSG's 4-0 win carried over from the last campaign. Now, PSG begin their defense of the League One title with a new coach. Christophe Nantes are in the squad along with new signings. Vitinha number 1 album with Renaissance, a heartfelt love letter to reach the summit. It follows the Stars' previous chart toppers, Dangerously in Sneeze Child, on the 2001 album Survivor. Renaissance results and is predicted to have the biggest opening week of the year for the start of the world's biggest arts festival 5th anniversary. Its lineup will include comedians see live audiences return to indoor venues. The fleet, its new vision, would make the whole event more inclusive, structuring the firm to focus on DC superhero movies months before its release. A new 10-year plan said the company wanted to protect the DC brand by newly merged Warner Discovery, said the company's main objective. A miniature manuscript written by a 13-year-old Charlotte Broich book smaller than a playing card is dated December 1829 for £973,000 in April, and Dinsdale said at the time of the donation, all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Xavier Robert, wishing you a terrific weekend.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.